right, hello again, my friend. It is Pedro. I hope you're doing well. As you can see, I'm out in the snowy fields of Maryland, and this is one of my favorite times to go hiking out in the woods because the air is cool and crisp. It's really quiet out here. There's pretty much no one else out here, so I got the whole place to myself, allowing me some time to just sit back and reflect. And speaking of reflecting, I know that we're a few days into the new year already, but before we got too deep into it, I wanted to take some time and share with you some of my favorite books and stories from 2024, as well as a few little life updates here and there. So what I thought we could do is take a quick little walk together. It's pretty cold, so we'll make it fast. We'll just take a little walk, spend a little time, talk books, life, and all that good stuff. Let's go. 2024 was a wonderful year of change and transition for me in two really powerful ways. Specifically, the first one being we had our third baby girl, precious little Lily. She's happy, she's healthy, she is just taken over, and it has been the joy of my heart to go back to this stage of fatherhood, and I just love her so much. She has really, like I said, she's taken over, and in many ways, I feel like I've been a bad bookstagrammer, but she's helped me be a better liver of life, if that makes any sense. So that has been obviously the biggest and best change of 2024. The second thing is I made a big move and left my job of almost 10 years and started my own business. And I'm really excited about it, really scared about it, but I think that's kind of the sweet spot of life. Fear and excitement, and I think great things can happen when you're staying in those places. So I'm really excited about it, and I'll be sharing more with that as the year goes on. Let's keep walking. All right, so as we get started with the books, let me first say that these are in no kind of order. I love them all the same, just differently. Like I tell my kids, they each had their own little unique impact on me and on my life. But that said, I will begin with All the Fiends of Hell by the mighty Adam Neville. And if you know anything about me, then you know I love Adam Neville. He's one of my all-time favorite authors, and he can do no wrong in my eyes. But that said, I was a tad bit skeptical about this book as it deals with aliens, which was a bit of a departure from the books that I've read of his that I really connected with, which are more folk horror-esque kind of vibes. But of course, it's Adam Neville. I'm going to read it, and I'm so glad that I did because I absolutely loved this story. This is a story that deals with an alien apocalyptic event. There's a lot going on. It's a big concept. There's a ton of atmosphere. It's really spooky. It's really creepy. And what I thought was really amazing is that even though there's this catastrophic apocalyptic event happening with these crazy Lovecraftian type alien things happening, I was more disturbed and troubled by the humans in the book. And I think that this says a lot about the power of Adam's storytelling ability, that even in this wild and big story, he's able to make this kind of human connection for it. And I love that about his writing. So if you have not read All the Fiends of Hell, make sure you do. And I would also encourage you to read all of Adam Neville's books. I think he's just the best. His book, The Reddening, inspired me to make a whole metal band and metal album. And forever, the red will abide. So shout out to you, Adam, and All the Fiends of Hell. Let's go. All right, so up next, I wanted to talk about an author that was new for me this year, and that is Mariana Enriquez. I read two of her collections this year, and I loved them both. The first one being Things We Lost in the Fire. I read that at the beginning of the year when it was snowy just like this, and then also A Sunny Place for Shady People. I think that she is going to be one of my favorite authors moving forward because she has an incredible ability to be able to take from real world things such as politics, social issues, family dynamics, family trauma, take all of these different things, you name it, and mix them all together and sprinkle in some supernatural ideas, mystery, paranormal ideas, and come up with these intense and amazing stories. And I've only read her short story collections. I know that there's some books that I haven't gotten to yet I'm really stoked about, but I just found her work to be really dark, really disturbing, very realistic, which I think is what makes it disturbing, even when they're kind of big and fantastical, there's still this part of it that connects deeply with me on a human level. So I can't wait to read more of her stuff. I would highly encourage that you read those two collections if you're looking for some short story collections in between novels or whatever. So Mariana Enriquez, thank you so much for those awesome stories. I can't wait to read more. Let's keep walking, y'all. Let's go. Also, one of the things that's really cool about the Sunny Place for Shady People book by Mariana Enriquez is I got that book when I was in Baltimore with my buddy Marshall, aka Charm City Sinner. And he is a friend that I met completely because of this Bookstagram community of ours. And I think I would be remiss to not give a special thanks to this community. I know that the internet can be a wild place, and I'm sure that there's toxic folks even within this space. But so far I have not dealt with many of them. And maybe that's just because I really kind of keep to myself and my own little crew of buddies here. But some of you guys here have really become good friends to me, and I appreciate you so much. And I encourage us to keep this place a safe space and to just focus on books and not get too serious about it. And you never know, you could end up making some really great lifelong friends. So shout out to Marshall and shout out to everybody else in our little Bookstagram community. Let's keep walking. All right, so next I wanted to talk about Memorials by Richard Chesmar. And I will say that out of all the books that I read this year, this one had me the most hooked. I mean, I was addicted to this story. I needed to know how it was going to end. And at the same time, I never wanted it to end because I loved the world that he created. The story follows 3 students doing research on roadside memorials. And you guys know me, I love to listen to audiobooks. So I would listen to this while driving around. And I don't know what was going on at Maryland at the time, but it was gray and foggy and spooky. And as I'm driving, I would start to notice roadside memorials in real life. And I don't know, everything just clicked with this book. And I just loved it so much. It felt like an old school 80s horror film to me. It was fun, but also at the same time, the character development and the relationships between the characters in the story felt really modern and fresh and relatable. And to me, again, that's what makes a really good story. If you can present these wild and big concepts, but still have a sense of relatability, you'll get me every time. So I absolutely love this story. It was not only one of my favorite stories of 2024, it's one of my favorite stories of all time. So shout out to Richard Chesmar. If you haven't read Memorials, make sure you do. I love that book. And also shout out to Maryland. I know he's a Maryland guy, and that was really cool for me because I could relate to a lot of places that he talks about in the book, even though a lot of it takes place in Pennsylvania as well, but that's our neighbor. So I could just visualize and picture myself in those scenarios, and that made it really fun and also made it even extra scary. So I loved it. Also, before I leave this little section, I don't know if you guys could notice that there's like a lot of birds going on here. So check this out real quick. They ain't even that scared of me. They're trying to get their food. So shout out to the birds. Let's go. Okay, so the last book that I wanted to talk about is December Park by Ronald Malfi. And Ronald Malfi is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. So far, every book that I've read from him, I have absolutely loved, and December Park was no different. And I will say that I did not find December Park to be his scariest book, but it's a wonderful coming of age story with some spooky components and a lot of good mystery that really had me feeling connected to this story. I found myself in my feelings a lot with this book. Thankful for the friendships that I have, and even wanting to reach out to folks that I haven't talked to for quite some time. And I think that's the power of good storytelling, when you can create these different worlds. He's got some books that have really spooked me out, and so it was really cool to see this different side of his writing, at least for me, that I just really resonated with. So December Park actually was kind of the last novel that I read of this year, and I loved it so much. So shout out to Ronald Malfi. If you have not read December Park, I definitely would recommend it if you like coming of age stories. This is a story that will keep you on your toes, and it's so well written. I loved it so much. So yeah, those are my top 4 books from 2024. Let's keep walking, we'll close it out. It's getting dark, and I'm not trying to be out here in the dark and the cold. Let's go. All right, friends, that is Pedro's top 4 from 24. Thanks for watching, and I'd love to hear what your favorite books were from this past year. But mostly, y'all, I just want to wish you again a happy new year and challenge you and challenge myself. Let's make this a good year. I know there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world right now, but I think we have a beautiful opportunity to be a light and a source of love in this place. So even though we're spooky folks, let's be kind spooky folks and reflect love in all that we do. And stay tuned. Lots of cool stuff going on in 2025. Let's make it a beautiful year. Grace and peace.